I have to say, when I heard that, like, people actually watch this show, I was actually pretty surprised.
Shh. Hi, welcome to another edition of Between Two Ferns. I'm your host, Zach Galifianakis, and my guest today is President Barack Obama. Do you send Ambassador Rodman to North Korea on your behalf? I had read somewhere that you'd be sending Hulk Hogan to Syria, or is that more of a job for Tanya Harding?
Zach, he's not our ambassador.
What should we do about North IKEA? North.
Why don't we move on?
I have to know, what is it like to be the last black president?
Seriously? What's it like for this to be the last time you ever talked to a president? Have you heard of healthcare.gov?
Here we go. Okay, let's get this out of the way. What did you come here to plug?
Well, first of all, I think it's fair to say that I wouldn't be with you here today if I didn't have something to plug. Have you heard of the Affordable Care Act?
Now, in what Adweek called a, quote, master stroke, this week President Obama showed that he's willing to go where no president has gone before. That's right, he sat down for an interview with none other than comedian Zach Galifianakis for the online series Between Two Ferns, which can be viewed on the Funny or Die website. Now, the interview was hilarious, and it was the perfect place to deliver a message about signing up for health care to those young invincibles with whom the show is also wildly popular. Just about everyone got a good laugh, except, of course, you guessed it, the right-wing media, who never miss a beat when it comes to attacking the president, especially when he does something good. In fact, they've called it everything from inappropriate and tragic to gross and utterly unbearable.
The Affordable Health Care Act is dubious, to say the least. And using a comedic website to enroll people, it's a little bit desperate, don't you think? I mean, I'm all for PR, and if Carney wanted to go on Funny or Die, fine. But the President of the United States? All I can tell you is Abe Lincoln would not have done it.
Between Two Ferns director Scott Aukerman fired back, saying, quote, Bill O'Reilly is used to saying kind of stupid things to get attention. There's not much of a difference between the president appearing on Between Two Ferns and appearing on The O'Reilly Factor. Well, the difference is we admit we're a comedy show. Let's set aside the fact that those same folks on the right have done everything in their power to denigrate the office of the presidency every single day Obama has been in office. There's an obvious reason why the right is really so mad. As the president told Ryan Seacrest while promoting the health care law again yesterday, the strategy has actually worked.
I wasn't familiar with this thing,
right?
But when I was at the dinner table with the girls, and I said, well, today I did something with Zach. It's called Two Ferns, I think. Malia was so excited. She, had seen all the previous episodes, so I figured that it was going to reach our target audience, which was a lot of young people. Afterwards, what happened was people actually did link to healthcare.gov, and people actually signed up for health insurance. So it ended up working.
That's right. Roughly 24 hours after the interview was posted, the White House says traffic to healthcare.gov jumped 40%, and the interview is now up to more than 16 million views. Let's bring in Washington Post Jonathan Capehart, as well as Matthew Siegel, co-founder and president of the nonprofit Our Time, which advocates for young people. All right, Matthew, I'm going to start with you. You're a young person. Did it work? Did the ad appeal to you? Did it make you more likely to sign up for health care if you haven't already signed up for health care?
Well, it absolutely appealed to me. It appealed to hundreds of thousands of people in my generation. And to use new and original forms of media is something we should be commending the President of the United States for. When I heard that reporter ask Jay Carney, does this video denigrate the dignity of the White House, I thought to myself, what an elitist, ridiculous question to assume that every single young person watches evening news and that embracing new forms of media is not smart.
Right. Well, and to that point, I think we've got a full screen to show from the Pew poll, young people basically get their news online. 71% of 18 to 29-year-olds say the internet is their main source of news. Now, I'm not necessarily saying an interview with Zach Galifianakis is news, but hey, the people who watched it certainly got the news about health care.
But the average young person also spends 7 to 8 hours per day online.
Right.
So it's very pragmatically responsible for someone to realize if I don't use a short form video that's shareable through social media, I'm not going to do the best and most robust form of outreach.
Right. And you know, Jonathan, in the walk down memory lane that has been the release of the Clinton documents, there was one section from yesterday's release where we were having a conversation about whether or not the First Lady should go on Tim Allen's show, Home Improvement. For young people may not remember that show because it hasn't been on in a while. But again, it was the same kind of conversation. Lisa's concern was, would that in any way denigrate the office of the First Lady? We ended up not doing it. I actually don't think it would have hurt. And I think, again, this idea, and this is one of the hallmarks of the Obama team, is let's find creative new ways to reach people where they are.
And remember, it's not about reaching people just to reach people just because. It's to the beauty of Between Two Ferns was that it's a 6.5-minute video where the purpose of the president going on there doesn't come up until about 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes in.
Right.
The president used comedy to pull people in because it was hilarious. That clip you showed, I mean, I've watched it many, many times and I still laugh. But people are then sucked in. And then when Galifianakis says, oh, what are you here to plug again? Well, have you heard of healthcare.gov? By then, people can't tear themselves away. And the policy goals of the president then click into play. He now gets to tell people about healthcare.gov. He takes his lumps about healthcare.gov not working in the beginning, but says it's working now. Here are all the ways you can access healthcare. Here are all the things that you get. The policy aims of the president and the administration, that's the key thing. That's why he went on that show.
And you know, Matt, I mean, I have a little sound I will play for you because it is a long found tradition for presidents to be creative and resort to comedians to help either get a message out or, frankly, humanize themselves. We'll play this for you.
I want to tell you, Mr. President, with all the travel and all the work you've done, you look just great.
Matt, you look great, too.
Well, I hope I look that good when I'm your age.
I mean, you know, Matt, the point here is you get to see a different side, right? I mean, part of what was so great about the interview with Zach was that you get to see a different side of the president. He's funny. You get a sense of his sense of humor. And as Jonathan said, it pulls you in. And that little, bit between Bob Hope and President Reagan, it was, it's entertaining. What's wrong with that?
Humor is absolutely humanizing. And I'll tell you, we've seen presidents go on late night TV. We've seen them go on Saturday Night Live. We've seen them host Saturday Night Live, presidential candidates. And there's the White House Correspondents' Dinner every year, which is a comedic event. So to somehow say that this denigrates the dignity of the White House, but all those other things do not, is incredibly puzzling.
Yeah.
I think it's tenuous logic at best.
And you know, Jonathan, that really, to me, is the heart of the matter. The idea, and you wrote about this week, and you said, many Republicans and other defenders of presidential dignity need to lighten up, get with the times, and tend to the indignities in their own backyard. It strikes me that, as I said in the open, all of these people, whether it was Joe Wilson yelling, "You lied," whether it's questioning the president, his birthplace, asking for his birth certificate, if that is not denigrating the presidency of the United States of America and this particular president, I don't know what is. So these people, they don't even have standing to be qualified to say what's denigrating.
Right, they don't have standing. I mean, the leaders within the Republican Party allowed members of their own party to question the citizenship of the occupant of the Oval Office.
Who was voted in, by the way, for real.
For real, twice.
Yes.
And
no
with
Supreme
more
Court.
than 50% of the vote, the first time a two-term president was elected with more than 50% of the vote.
Right.
That denigrates the office of the presidency when the person who's there is questioned and it's known that it's a lie, the rumors that are out there.
Right.
And no one within the Republican Party had the guts to say, you know what, that's wrong. We're talking about the president of the United States. Now let's move on to the things we don't agree with him on. And you can then have the policy discussions about the president and his policies. But, folks within the Republican Party didn't want to do that.
Right. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about who's denigrating who, maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror, guys. Thank you to Jonathan Capehart. Jonathan agrees with me, and Matthew Siegel.